The senator from Georgia.
Mr. President, I'm delighted to follow the distinguished minority leader, who is a gifted orator, a brilliant legislator, and an expert in something called desperate impact. Desperate impact is where you take two facts that are extraneous, put them together to put together the appearance of an irregularity or an impropriety without it in fact being true. And the statements just made about the CBO estimate were accurate in what he said, but wrong in the implication. It is accurate CBO did say it would cost money if we didn't have a replacement for Obamacare, which is why the replacement's being worked on as we speak right here today. Both are facts, but when put together the way he put them together, it makes it look like we're spending money that we're not in fact spending at all. CBO's estimate also does not include the impact of legislative and administrative action to stabilize individual markets. In the absence of making that consideration, of course it's going to be more costly. Those are both extraneous facts when put together make the appearance of a crime which just isn't there. But I come to the floor today to talk about my friend Dr. Tom Price. And I'm really glad in a way that the minority leader brought Representative Price up and brought up specific allegations that have been made against him, so I can hopefully put some light on the misperception that those allegations make, and in fact shine some positive light on a great nominee to be Secretary of Health and Human Services. I have known Tom Price for 30 years of my life. He and his wife Betty are dear friends. Their son Robert's the age of one of my sons. He's a fine young man. Tom's a leader in our community, leader in Roswell United Methodist Church, the first ever elected Republican majority leader of the state of Georgia's Senate, the chairman of the Budget Committee in the United States House of Representatives, former president of the Study Committee in the House of Representatives, and all-around terrific individual who has a litany and a liturgy of recommended improvements that have made the United States of America legislatively and legally much better. Tom's a family man. I've mentioned Betty and his son Robert. He's an accomplished professional. He's a surgeon. He's an orthopedic surgeon. In fact, he and his wife Betty met doing their residencies at Grady Memorial Hospital. She is an anesthesiologist. Tom is an orthopedic surgeon. He's an accomplished surgeon. Tom was one of those orthopedists that came together with a number of other orthopedists to form what's known as Resurgence Orthopedics, the largest orthopedic practice in the southeastern United States, one of the finest anywhere in the country. Tom's worked tirelessly in the Republican Party, tirelessly in the Democrat-Republican bipartisan agreements that have been made, and tirelessly on behalf of his community. He is a fine individual and is uniquely qualified to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. This is an agency that will spend $1 trillion of the taxpayers' money on an annual basis. You want a man who's been chairman of the Budget Committee. You want a man who understands finances. You want a former legislator who knows how to get the job done. Tom Price is that man. In fact, I'm particularly well qualified to introduce Tom to this body and to recommend him as Secretary of Labor, HHS, because he replaced me when I left the United States House. When I was elected to the Senate, he replaced me. He's been reelected 6 times. He served 6.5 terms in the United States House of Representatives and has an extensive legal background, an extensive legislative background, and accomplished background of conservative leadership for the United States of America. But most importantly, has done so on many issues dealing with medicine. And why not? He's an expert in medicine. I know a little bit about real estate. I've authored legislation on real estate. That's kind of what you do when you're in a profession that knows a little bit about something the Congress is looking at. But the allegations made by Senator Schumer and being echoed in some of the media papers around town are just another example of taking desperate impact. I want to talk to you a little bit about what Senator Schumer was just talking. He was talking about the purchase of Zimmer Medics. Zimmer Medics stock, 26 shares of it, worth $2,674. That's what he was talking about. The two desperate facts that he put together to make a wrong were this. The purchase was made without Tom's knowledge because his account is managed by Smith Barney and Morgan Stanley. They manage his account. They make the decisions what to buy. Tom doesn't make them. Tom documented, found out about it on April the 4th, even though the purchase was made in March. He didn't even know the purchase had been made on his behalf until it was disclosed, which he did, as he is required to do by the Stock Act. Every single fact brought up by the distinguished minority leader is a fact that's a required disclosure of the rules of the United States Senate to the Ethics Committee and under the Stock Act. So let's take this, don't make this thing that he made look like some sinister thing, take it at face value. If you take it at face value, it's a purchase Tom didn't make, it was made on his behalf. Purchase we documented he didn't know about until the 4th of April when the purchase was made in March. Purchase did not inure to his benefit because of his decision, because the decision was not made by him. And he is, like every other member of the United States Senate and the United States House, makes the disclosures of their activities because of the required Stock Act. Tom obeyed the law. Tom did what was right, and what he's done is right was being made to look wrong only because of appearance, but not because of fact. And that's the wrong way to take on the consideration of any nominee of a President of the United States to be a Secretary of any part of the Cabinet. And I reiterate, who else would better be to oversee $1 trillion in spending than Tom Price? Chairman of the Budget Committee, former member of Ways and Means, accomplished legislator, put together the largest orthopedic practice in Atlanta, Georgia, and in the state of Georgia. He's well qualified, he's eminently qualified, and this body should overwhelmingly nominate him and confirm his nomination to the United States as the Secretary of Health and Human Services in the United States of America. I am proud as his friend. I'm proud as a former associate and legislator. I'm proud of the person he succeeded in the United States House of Representatives, and I'm proud as an American citizen. Know that our president has picked somebody who is eminently qualified, who has an impeccable record of success in his legislative jobs, who is a fine family man, a member of his church, a disciplined member of his political party, and most importantly of all, a man who loves his country, is volunteering to sacrifice his time and his knowledge to make America's health and human services better. And lastly, there's a little rumor going around that he's not for extending Social Security. That's ironic to me. Let me tell you what he and I did in November and December. We traveled Georgia on behalf of AARP, presenting ways to save Social Security. Tom Price is on the record day in and day out in the state of Georgia, fighting to preserve Social Security for those that have it and those that will get it in the future. So don't take this desperate impact of extraneous facts that some will put together to try and make a wrong out of a right. Instead, look at the record of an impeccable legislator, a dedicated family man, a great American, and the next Secretary of Health and Human Services for the United States of America, Dr. Tom Price. And I commend him to every member of this Senate and hope you'll confirm him when his vote comes before the Senate on this floor today. And with that said, I'll